If you're doing Kegel and people can tell, then you are not doing it right. Because the moment you start doing Kegel well, nobody should know, nobody will know. Then you're not doing Kegel, you're working on your abdominal walls. Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Dr. Linda Odo, and on this channel I bring you videos related to motherhood, health, career, lifestyle, and my all-time favorite hobby, which is DIYs. So today I will be taking a step back to address a topic that came up when I did this video on postpartum health. Okay, so people ask questions about pelvic floor exercises, the popular one being Kegel exercise, because we raised an issue of weak pelvic floor. Now, if you're wondering what are all these terms, pelvic this, pelvic that, for a start, I'll explain to you what the pelvic floor is, where it is in your body, how that is related to you. Then I'll talk about the Kegel exercise, talk about who needs it, talk about how you can tell that you need this exercise. Then we'll go ahead to take the various steps that forms the Kegel exercise. Okay, so this is something you want to watch, and if you think you will need this video, please watch to the very end, and do not forget to subscribe, do not forget to click the notification bell, do not forget to leave a comment at the end of this video, because I personally look forward to having this interaction with you. So let's get started. Now, what is the pelvic floor? Usually some people like to explain this using a hammock, but I don't think many people around this part of the world can relate to a hammock. But one thing I know that we can all relate to is a swing, right? So growing up as children, most people actually use the swing. So you have the chain, right and left, holding the chair, and we'll usually sit on that chair and then swing forward and backward and have a lovely time. Yeah, so imagine that, and imagine that you one day wanted to sit on a swing, and let's say mine then was made of wood. The wood has become soft from repeated rain through seasons and all of that, and then you just sit and it breaks and you fall off. Okay, or imagine that it's quite strong because it's new. Fantastic. So you sit on it and you can carry anybody's weight. Your mommy will sit on it, your daddy will sit on it, and nothing will happen. Then again, imagine that this seat was made of a fabric, like a cloth item, and obviously when you sit, it will take the shape of the buttocks. So that is basically what the pelvic floor is. In this situation, your hip bones are like the chains. Your right hip area, the right chain of the swing, your left hip area, the left chain of the swing, and then the pelvic floor, which we're talking about today, is now that sitting area. You, which is the weight on top of the sitting area, is being represented by all those organs inside your belly that are supported on that pelvic floor. So going from front to back, this is a picture to help you understand better, and all make a hole here and pass through. So opening out here for the womb as the vagina, opening out for the bladder as the urethra, opening out in the middle as the vagina, and at the back as the back passage. Okay, and it's this strength here that ensures that everything is held up and is not caving out. It also ensures that when you want to pass flatus, it is at your will and not in an embarrassing environment. If you want to pee and you're not at the toilet, you can hold it till you get to the perfect environment, and things like that basically. Okay, so that explains the pelvic floor. If you don't understand it at this part, I would really love it if you can leave a comment behind and I can go through it again for you. Okay, and just keep learning and keep on learning basically. So that is number one thing I want you to understand, the pelvic floor. Okay, now what is it that suddenly makes this pelvic floor weak? You and I, male, females, we all have the pelvic floor right from when we were children, and it doesn't give us any issue, right? So why now? Now, things that can contribute include genetic makeup, your age. As people get older, they could be at risk of having a weak pelvic floor. Things like having a surgery done in that area can also contribute. And perhaps people who have had like some kind of tumor or a chronic cough can also be at risk of having a weak pelvic floor. By chronic cough, I mean cough that has been there for so long and is so intensive, so they keep coughing and coughing and coughing for like going to months. They could end up having a weak pelvic floor. Now, one of the very common causes amongst women is related with childbirth. I want to take some time to explain this because there are misconceptions out there that it's only women who have had vaginal birth that are at risk of a weak pelvic floor. But I'd like you to know today that that is not true. During pregnancy, the fetus keeps growing and sits right on top, sits on that pelvic floor. That is like the supporting system, one of the supporting systems in addition to other things there, okay? And that weight bears down on the pelvic floor through the period of 9 months. There are also hormones that are released during that period, more like chemical substances that keep that area kind of relaxed to accommodate the baby. And all of this affects these muscles. So regardless of having a vaginal birth or having a cesarean delivery, you could still come down with a weak pelvic floor at the end of that pregnancy journey. Okay, so it can happen to anybody. But the beautiful thing about all of this is that there are exercises to help. And if you notice any symptom, which I'm going to talk about after this, please reach out to your doctor, reach out to your specialist. And if these exercises are not working for you, then there are other interventions that can be done to help you feel better, okay? So that's basically it. So one of the things you can experience, one of the very common symptoms, many people actually do have this weak pelvic floor, but they never get to find out. Maybe after the first, for women who are giving birth, maybe first, second, maybe during the fourth or fifth childbirth, and you begin to notice things that are quite disturbing for your daily activities. But otherwise, they might have this weak pelvic floor and they would not even know, right? But for those that know, some of the things they would experience would be, a very popular one is urine sleep. So you feel like, oh, you're having a good time, you're out with your girls, you're bubbly and everything, and then suddenly someone comes into the space and cracks a very funny joke, and then you want to laugh out loud, and next thing you feel like your rain drip. You're like, what is that? Where did that come from? So that is one of the things that people can experience. We call it stress incontinence, and it just means that when you have anything that increases the pressure in your belly, like let's say you are laughing or you're coughing suddenly, then it can increase the pressure in your belly, and because this place is no longer tense enough to close all those openings, when you increase the pressure, it does something like this and opens up, and you feel that urine slip out. Okay, that is one common symptom. Another one some people would experience would be the presence or the feel this stress incontinence, taking you back a little, can happen to males or females, okay? Now, coming to the next one, which is the presence of a foreign body. This one is common with females. You just feel like there's a bulge in your front passage, that's the vagina. You can't explain what it is, but there's something there that just keeps disturbing you and doesn't allow you like feel like yourself, okay? So if you're experiencing that, then I would like to know that could be one of the symptoms of a weak pelvic floor, which is like more like some of the organs are beginning to drop down, because the pelvic floor is not holding them up anymore like they should. And in that case, you should see your specialist doctor, start these exercises, see them, and then they can come up with a very holistic care plan for you. All right, so these are some of the things that you can experience that would give you an idea that you need this exercise. Some other people I've come across would say that when they want to engage in intensive exercises like weightlifting or jumping exercises, they find out that they also experience that incontinence, that is the urine sleep. Okay, so if that is the case, then you need this exercise. But even if, remember we said that age is also a risk factor, I think that this is something that every young woman should do. I do it. And the beautiful thing about it, which is like my hack of all time, is that it's everywhere and anywhere. You can do Kegel anywhere, in the bus, on your way to work, in the office, during a meeting, even as I'm talking to you now, I'm doing Kegel. You're like, oh no. That's the beautiful thing about Kegel. In fact, I always tell my friends, my patients, and all of that, that if you're doing Kegel and people can tell, then you are not doing it right. Because the moment you start doing Kegel well, nobody should know. Nobody will know. How would they know? So guys, that's basically it. You need to start doing Kegel if you haven't been doing Kegel. Everybody needs Kegel. Everybody needs Kegel. Okay, so let's talk about getting started with Kegel. How do you get started? Now, the first thing I like to tell anyone, including you watching this video, is you need to identify the muscles that you are working with. Okay, and usually I would say identify it while using the restroom, but this should be a one-off thing because it's not a good habit to stop and start urine and some other things that you'll be doing. Okay, so just do it once, identify those muscles, and then after that you start doing the Kegel exercise. So to identify the muscles, just go to the bathroom, to the restroom, sit down on the toilet seat comfortably, and then imagine you're trying to, okay, you're peeing, then you hold the pee back. Okay, when you hold the pee back, just pay attention to your body. You're going to feel a particular part of the muscles in that area draw in and upwards. That is the muscle the muscle part that surrounds the opening of the bladder. That is just one part of it. Now, if you've done that, then relax. Now you're trying to identify the second part of this muscle. So around the vaginal opening, try to contract like you're lifting inwards and upwards. You would feel the second part of this muscle, which is around the vaginal opening. And then for the last one, imagine you're in a public place and you suddenly feel like you want to pass flatus, but you don't want to do it because you don't want to embarrass anybody and you don't want to embarrass yourself. Then it's coming out and you're trying to release it slowly. So if you're doing that, the muscle that is being pulled inwards and upwards at this time as well is the muscle that, this is the third component of the pelvic floor, the third muscle component of the pelvic floor. Okay, we've identified 3 things now. This 3 actually refers for, is particular to women. So the one around the urethra, that's the opening of the bladder. So when you contract, stop urine, it goes up and feel it tighten. The one around the vaginal opening, and then the one around the anal opening, which is which you use to stop flatus that wants to come out. Okay, so these 3 that I've mentioned to you. All right, now for guys it would be 2. So the one around the front, the bladder opening, and the one to stop flatus. All right, so now we've identified the 3 muscles that you'll be working with. In Kegel exercise, you're contracting these 3 muscles at the same time. You're tightening them and releasing them at the same time. So basically what you'll be doing is contracting, relaxing, contracting, relaxing, about 10 to 15 times, 2 to 3 times in a day. So you do this contracting, relaxing, 10 to 15 times, about 2 to 3 times a day. So you can do it 10 to 15 times in the morning or in the evening, or morning, afternoon, and the evening. Okay, and each contraction and relaxation should be a few seconds, and you have about 5 seconds interval between the 2 to do the next one. So we usually say that within 5 to 7 minutes you should have finished like a whole session. So a session is about 10 to 15 contractions and relaxations. And so you do like 3 sessions in a day or 2 sessions in a day. That is basically what you'll be doing. So if you don't understand what I've explained, you can always ask me a question in the comment section and I will try to re-explain this again. Okay, so this basically explains what happens during Kegel exercise. Contracting, relaxing, contracting, relaxing, contracting, relaxing, 10 to 15 times, you stop. Then in the afternoon again, you repeat it. At night, you repeat it. Now, if you do this repeatedly for about a month to 3 months, usually they'll say do it for 12 weeks, you begin to experience some improvement. All right, but if at the end of that you're not comfortable with that, then you need to still see your doctor, and then you can explore all the other options. The beautiful thing about this is that there are timers actually that you can put on your phone, set an alarm to help you remember, use the timers to help you time it, and that way you're able to be more consistent and compliant to this particular exercise routine. Okay, another thing that I think you should know is that when you start doing these exercises and you start seeing results, it's not the time to stop. It's like someone who is trying to get a fitness routine and then you become fit, then you stop. You will just slack back. That's the same. It's a muscle. So you introduce this into your lifestyle and it becomes something you just keep doing. You just keep doing it, okay? And you will definitely notice some improvements. Now, about doing this exercise, Kegel exercise, there are certain things that you should not do because they actually kind of reduce the effect you're supposed to experience. This exercise aims for the pelvic floor. It's not for your buttocks, it's not for your thigh, it's not for your belly. Remember what I said, if you're really doing Kegel exercise very well, nobody will know. So if you suddenly feel yourself doing then you're not doing Kegel, you're working on your abdominal walls. If you suddenly feel your buttocks tightening, you're not doing Kegel. If you feel your thighs tightening, you're not doing Kegel. The only thing that should tighten or contract is the pelvic floor and nothing else, okay? So remember that at the back of your mind. Now there's so many variations of the Kegel exercise, but usually I would advise that you do not start adopting all these variations until you have learned how to actually just contract the pelvic floor. Because there's this chance that people, when they start trying to do, let me say you're trying to start doing lunges or planks together with your Kegel, that you will start focusing on the thigh muscles or on the abdominal muscles and actually reduce the impact on the pelvic floor, which you're supposed to be targeting. So I would advise start practicing by sitting still and doing this exercise. Then when you have gotten used to this, then you can start incorporating the Kegel exercise into other things like your planks, your other exercise routines. If you go on the internet, you will find so many variations of doing the Kegel. It's still Kegel, but then you can have it incorporated into other exercise routines. I mean, it's amazing because that way you're able to kill time and have more value for less time, which is amazing. Like me, when I do my Kegel, I probably would do another. I literally do Kegel alongside every other exercise routine, but I still have my Kegel time when I want to do my Kegel. So that is basically what I want you to know. So this kind of brings us to the end of this Kegel talk. I'm so happy that I finally get to do this video because someone actually reminded me again how far our Kegel video, and I was like, I haven't done it. So I'm happy that I get to finally do this video. If you liked it, if you think there's someone who will need to hear about this, please let them know. I would like it if you share the video with them and then ask them to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Do not forget to put on the notification bell so that when next I post a video, you'll be in the know. And am I missing anything? I don't think so. This should bring us to the end of this video. What do you think? So yeah, this brings us to the end of the video for today, and do have a lovely day. Do have a lovely evening.